Hello everyone! Today I wanted to do a video about the pros and cons of living in Charleston, South Carolina. I've been living here for about 6 years now and I absolutely love it, but there are some drawbacks. Today I'll be going through my 5 top pros and 5 cons of living in Charleston, South Carolina. Now this is my personal list of pros and cons, so if you have pros and cons that differ, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. The first pro for me is definitely living by the beach. Growing up, I didn't live by the beach, so now I get to take advantage of it, and it's so cool being able to drive 20-25 minutes to the beach whenever I want. I usually go to Folly Beach just because that's what I live closest to, but there's also Sullivan's Island and Isle of Palms, and if you go further out, there's Edisto and Kiowa, and those are beautiful beaches as well. The second pro is that there's so much to do here. No matter what you're into, I bet you can find your hobby here in Charleston, and there are plenty of meetup groups and events, in non-COVID times at least, where you can meet other people who are into the same hobbies. Third pro, if you're a history nerd, Charleston's the place for you. Charleston was founded in 1670 as Charlestown after King Charles II, and as a historic colony, it's seen everything from the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and there are so many monuments and cool museums that you can go to and see artifacts almost 400 years old. I personally love walking through the streets of downtown Charleston and seeing the cobblestone roads and feeling like I'm back in a colonial era. Pro number 4, the food, especially if you like seafood. Here you can find classic southern recipes like shrimp and grits, she crab soup, and there are so many restaurants that serve everything in between. I personally love oyster roasts in Charleston because it's a good way to hang out with cool people and eat local seafood. Also, if you have dietary restrictions or allergies, most restaurants do have options for you. Pro number 5 is that the winters here are super mild. You will not have to worry about snow or getting snowed into your house at all. In fact, a few years ago there was a snowstorm. Literally everything was canceled. The airports shut down because there was that much snow on the ground and they didn't know how to deal with it. We do not even have snow plows here. So if you don't like the cold, here's your escape route. Con number 1. So I'm not gonna lie. In the summer in Charleston, it gets very hot and humid. And the humidity is what gets to you. In August is when it peaks, and that's when you really just don't want to leave the house at all. And it's worth it for the mild winters, but sometimes I'm like, Second con is that it's flat here. There are no mountains, there aren't even really hills, so you just have to drive out of your way a few hours if you want to go hiking to any good spots. But there are some cool mountains in upstate South Carolina. If you go up to North Carolina, there's Asheville and Boone nearby, so it's not too bad. I mean, I like the beach anyway, so. Third con is definitely the mosquitoes. I hate the mosquitoes. I always get attacked. I don't understand why they single me out, but I'm always the one that's the most bit up when we go outside. They're really only bad in the summer months, but I have found some in December and I'm like, what are you doing? You're not supposed to be out right now. But that's just part of living in Charleston, I guess. Bug spray helps, so I don't think that's a reason that you shouldn't move here. The fourth con, Charleston does have flooding issues. So during heavy rains and tropical storms, downtown Charleston especially can flood, and since it's built pretty close to sea level already, there's really just nowhere for the water to go, and so it can rise up in the streets and potentially leak into homes. Now this can be avoided. You do not have to buy a house that has flooding issues. I've lived in Charleston for 6 years and I've never had any problems at all. I would just be careful if you're looking to live in the historic district of downtown because it is beautiful, but it might come with some flooding issues. The fifth con for Charleston, I would say, would be hurricanes. Charleston does have a hurricane season from about June to October, with peak months being in August and September. There haven't been any major hurricanes in a while, luckily. The last huge one was in 1989, and that was Hurricane Hugo. It did a lot of damage to Charleston and the surrounding areas, but it was since rebuilt, and we haven't had any major ones like that since. Bonus pro, Charleston is just such a beautiful place to live. Every time I'm driving around downtown or over the water, I'm just in awe and I feel like I'm literally in a painting like 90% of the time. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed my pros and cons list. There are plenty of more pros and cons about Charleston, mostly pros. If you'd like to hear more in-depth information, please let me know. I'll put my phone number and email in the comments so you can contact me anytime. If you're considering a move to Charleston, I would love to see how I can help you find your dream home here and help you find your own pros and cons list for Charleston.